Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. I've got my tea, I'm in my childhood home, and I have bad lighting and I'm feeling good. It's all good. But the topic of this video is basically having grace for yourself when you realize that the path isn't gonna be linear, even when you feel like you're strong enough or that you've proved yourself enough. It's, you know, things happen, and the most important thing is to forgive yourself. I think this might resonate with a lot of people right now just because of, the seasons changing, and it's a lot easier to fall back into negative patterns when it's cold outside and we're just tired because there's no sunlight, and we're getting less vitamin D, less time outside with the fresh air. It's hard to stay on top of things. I mean, it's relevant to me because I completely didn't upload last week, which honestly made me kind of sad because, I mean, I made a promise to myself because I love what these videos do for me, what they could do for other people. And yeah, they ground me a lot, and I didn't do it last week, and I guess it kind of showed. I guess in terms of like my mental health, the following days after I didn't upload when I knew I was supposed to. But it just reminded me of the importance of like having grace for yourself, because that's just how it's gonna be, you know? It's, I mean, it's why we're human. If we were perfect, we wouldn't be human. And anyone you think is perfect is lying. You don't know them fully. But yeah, while it was a curse, it's also a blessing because, I'm grateful for these little wake up calls where you're like, oh, like, this isn't how I want to do things. I want to take more time for myself. I want to care for myself more. I want to love myself more. That was one thing that I noticed that I've been slacking on lately, is my love for myself and my respect for myself, just because, we get busy. It's a lot. And it's easy to get overwhelmed by things and forget what truly matters to you. But then things like this happen, and you're in a rut and you get depressed and you realize like, oh, like I should go back to what I was doing before because that was nice. But yeah, it's been, I wouldn't say a rough week, but like a learning week. That's what it was. Or a relearning week, because I don't know, I just feel like I was reminded, like, oh, take care of yourself. I've had some struggles, like staying present in the moment. When we live in our heads, that's when we're not living in reality. Yeah, I saw this quote from a post that was written by Profound Pondering, I think. That's his name on YouTube, at least, but I saw it on TikTok, and the opening line was, if you can't hold it in your hands, you shouldn't hold it in your mind. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my goodness, like everything that I was concerned about in my head, that everything that was bringing me down, I was like, this isn't mine to hold. And you would think that like someone like me would know that, but I don't know. It's what makes us human. Like I said, like learning and unlearning things it's kind of frustrating at times, because at some point you just want to be a master at all of it and be awakened. But I think that's kind of one of the things that's beautiful about being a human, is that you can fall down and get back up X amount of times, and that feeling of getting back up is just as wonderful as it is the first, you know? Yeah, just that feeling of reconnecting with what you know to be true is like, ugh, that's amazing. I mean, I would like to get to a point eventually where I'm just living in that state, but you know, when you're young, I guess it's the time for me to feel this way. It's the time for us to feel this way. But yeah, and especially now as I'm at home, I learned pretty quickly that my mind was wasted anywhere else than being home, than being here with my family and my friends who I love so dearly. And, you know, it's hard though. Like I said, gotta give yourself grace. Gotta give yourself grace every single day. I find that when you're dealing with like intrusive thoughts or anything like that, any sort of plaguing negative thought, it's always best to accept the feeling rather than, I don't know, try to resist it, because that's when it persists. What you resist persists. Remember that. Always remember that. So just accepting that, like, that's just how it is. That's just how your mind works. And it'll pass quicker than you think. It always does. It always does. And that's what I have to remember. It always passes quicker than you think. But yeah, things like intrusive thoughts and like overthinking, it's a lot like addiction. I mean, all of this is just sort of addiction. All of your thought patterns is just addiction. It's your brain synapses and your brain cells like firing in the same way, and it's used to firing in the same way, so it just automatically goes that way, which sucks because it's like, oh my goodness, I have to work against my entire wiring, all of my wiring of my brain. It's like not what I want it to do, so you have to actively fight against it and fight to wire it in a different way, and build these habits. Everything is a habit. Once you start thinking positively, it becomes a habit, you know? It's not something that you, I don't know, can decide just in one moment. I mean, some people can. Some people really can when they've had enough. But you gotta train yourself. But yeah, just forgive yourself. You deserve to be forgiven, even when you relapse, even when you fall back into negative patterns. You still deserve love from yourself. And in fact, that's when you deserve love from yourself the most, okay? Always hold grace for yourself. Do not abandon yourself again just because you were human, you know? You can't abandon yourself. That'll be the biggest mistake you'll ever make. But yeah, I'm grateful for what this week has taught me. And I'm grateful for every time that I fall down and I get back up, because I get to get back up. Yeah, I hope you gathered something from this video, and I also hope that you watched the Wicked movie. I just saw it today. I loved it so much. Yeah, just had to put that in there. Yeah, I'll see you next week. I promise I'll see you next week. Bye.